Hello.
Hello.
Hey
Hi.
everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to EnvironMental Podcast with Bob and Court.
This is our podcast where we get the opportunity to chat with folks about sustainability to make it more accessible and just meet really cool people doing really cool projects.
Right now, we have a goal to hit actually 300 subscribers on this channel. So if you are interested in things about sustainability, definitely hit subscribe. We would love to have you join. And today we have an incredible guest. Thank you so much for being here. We are joined by Sira Dheshan Naidu, who is the co-founder of Disruptor London, an incredible skincare company. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Very excited to be here today.
Thank you. Yes, we're so stoked. Yeah, we've been connected with you for quite a while.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah, we
speaking
met.
for at least 6 months,
Mhm.
or maybe longer. But yeah,
Maybe, I don't know. It feels like we've followed you for a long time.
yeah. No, that's the power of social media, right? You get to follow people, and then those follows become faces, and yeah, and then we connected on the ESG social, so that was brilliant.
Yeah.
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 Gosh, yes. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for letting us, pick your brain a little bit. So can you tell us a bit about Disruptor London?
Yeah, so Disruptor London, that's our baby. We've been working on it since 2021. Yeah, it was born out of COVID. And I think it was mainly due to, both Juan and myself. We had very busy lives before Disruptor London, career-wise, lots of travel. And when COVID hit, it was just that time, like so many other people, you stop being that hamster on the wheel and you have time to reflect on what it is that we want to do, purpose, etc. We both left our jobs and decided to take some time out, which was quite bonkers at the time because, who thought COVID would last over 2 years, right? So yeah, I'd say probably after about 6 months of just, not being a slave to your emails and being on a schedule or just being on the back of a Zoom call, you have a lot more clarity. And it was then that we decided to try something different. And that different was going to just test out the e-commerce space with a product. We had a few ideas on products and did a little bit of research on white label. And after about 2 or 3 months of doing that, we were having a glass of wine one evening, well, more than a glass, and that led to a conversation where I just said to him, I just don't feel comfortable putting our name on a product that we don't really believe in.
Yeah.
And I've always been very curious about what goes into products. I have a chemistry background, but also been in the cosmetics industry for close to 20 years. Very curious about the formulations, what goes into it, and what it does for you. And that obsession led to me looking at those white label products, those formulations, and thinking, this is really basic stuff. And how is this different from walking down the aisle at Boots and Superdrug, which were the only stores open at the time? And all of these products in very similar packaging, talking to you in a very similar tone of voice, with the same ingredients. And we wanted to change that. So it started with developing our own formulations and thinking about gaps in the market. The men's category felt underrepresented. I was having some concerns with my scalp at the time, a bit of flakiness, like dermatitis, and I thought, maybe look at some home remedies from, what I grew up with, Ayurvedic remedies that just came naturally. So it's just blending all of that, heritage, the knowledge, a bit of science, being quite curious and testing out different products. So long story short, I developed a few oils and balms as well as shampoos that really helped my condition. And then we decided to take this quite seriously. So after being quite playful with formulations, we decided to take this seriously and think about, making this into a little bit of a business. And with this background in the beauty industry, we were always driven by data, driven by facts, and looking at where the blank spaces were, what the trends are in the industry. And after really going down lots of rabbit holes, we got to a point of, okay, we would like to launch or bring to life a sustainable brand. But what does that mean when it's not a regulated term? So it could mean anything to anyone. And we see that every single day. So we really focused on what our purpose would be. And we wanted to look at doing things very differently from everybody else. And for us, that would be addressing issues like overconsumption, water scarcity, and plastic pollution. So we almost defined our sustainability agenda at that time. And it just started with a purpose. So we didn't really, even though we played around with different products, we didn't have a product when we decided we want to launch a brand called Disruptor London. So purpose came first, and we thought, okay, what does this mean in terms of our ingredient philosophy? What does this mean in terms of the type of products we bring to market? What does this even mean in terms of the messaging or our communication around it? So to be an ethical brand, to be a sustainable brand, we wanted to really look at everything with a fine-tooth comb, and always were from a point of view that there's really no point in launching a brand if it's been done before. There's no point in doing what others are doing and calling it something different or just having a personality. It's not good enough. So we really wanted to differentiate ourselves in more ways than one. Starting with ingredients, everything that we do, it was more a case of not doing certain things. So anything that's chemical based or petroleum based, we say no to. We know there's the Credo dirty list, but in Europe, we've had that dirty list for a long time. So it's great marketing, but what are things that we should really avoid, and why should we avoid these? Customers are told to avoid sulfates, but not many customers could articulate why. Customers are told to avoid parabens. It's really useful in chemistry, but consumers don't really know why. So for us, it was very much about, okay, why are we avoiding certain types of ingredients? Why are we avoiding the sources of some of these ingredients? And that informs why we choose to use other types of ingredients. So with our formulations, they're all proprietary. All the ingredients within our formulas have a function and a purpose, so we don't use fillers. So once again, it's like these are things that we feel fundamentally really strong about. Nothing derived from petroleum, not using a filler to bring down the cost of goods, not using water to bulk things up. So what we have are concentrated solid formats that work harder for you and the planet, and all in a green way. So that's pretty much how we kind of started. And we've been through, it wasn't a straight line or a straight route. It was quite meandering, but we're really pleased with the progress that we've made and quite excited on what we've achieved so far.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Now you have somewhere around, I think, maybe 10 or so products. Is that true?
So we have 4 solid format products that's
Mm,
on our website with different sizes, and we've got storage solutions.
mhm.
But we have up to 24 other products that's been developed and ready for
Wow.
Okay.
launch. Last year, on the second half of last year, we were accepted into a business accelerator program with the Central Research Laboratory, and there were 6 brands out of about 150 that applied.
Wow. Congrats.
It
Wow.
was really exciting time for us, but we learned so much during this program. What we wanted to get out of that was it was a hardware accelerator, and what we wanted to get out of that was understanding a lot more in terms of packaging and packaging development, the types of materials used. And our findings were there's actually nothing that's sustainable. So the most
No,
sustainable
right.
packaging is naked packaging, right?
Hmm.
So that informed why we didn't launch so many other products, and we really focused on just our core or capsule range, where we get to firstly talk to our consumers um, through a vehicle that is our product and the brand. We get to educate. We get to learn a lot more about this big vague word called sustainability. We get to learn about um, the plastics. We get to learn a lot more about what happens to the end of life cycle assessments,
Hmm.
etc. So it's forced us to go slower, which is really it's deliberate. It's very intentional what we're doing. We're not in competition with anyone, and we're in no rush. We want to do things the right way and learn who our true customer is, um,
Hmm.
Absolutely.
and get feedback directly from them in terms of where are the gaps and how do we meet that need
Hmm.
without having to compromise and just get a product out there in packaging that doesn't end up being recycled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you looked at a life cycle assessment and said, actually, I think we need to go slower. And I like that it connects you back with this purpose of like, because overconsumption, the other side of overconsumption is overproduction, right?
Yep.
And you really are working on fighting that by slowing that down. Packaging is a massive problem. It's a huge
It is.
issue.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you took the time to just go, no, we're here to solve problems first.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
products come second.
And that's just it. We're actually selling to consumers that don't realize they have a problem or they're contributing to a problem. And we are in no way a brand that wants to fearmonger. It's not our goal, but we definitely want to engage consumers, inform them too, with just facts. Greenpeace is telling us that less than 12% of plastics is being recycled. So with the
Hmm.
best intentions on brands that don't have the resource or the knowledge, um, or the offering isn't there, you know,
Yeah.
having using plastic that's 70% recycled or post-consumer recycled, what happens to the other 30% virgin plastic? If we
Hmm.
have multiple materials that's not being recycled because we don't have an infrastructure that's sophisticated enough
Yep.
to deal with that. Also, bioplastics, it's great innovations, and it's something that
Yeah.
we were very keen to even use, but we've learned that there's only 4 facilities in the UK that can industrially compost these
Yeah.
bioplastics.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, it's a lot more harmful to the existing infrastructure because it
Yep.
infects the infrastructure. So there's a lot of great things out there. Our recycling infrastructure is not working or
Mm-mm.
keeping up with the pace of innovation. And it's in no way like the end user's fault. It's just it is what it is. But as a
Yep.
brand, we feel that we have a responsibility to put out responsible products with a responsible
Hmm.
end of life. That's not the consumer's responsibility. It's ours.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
we fully agree. And our last episode, we spoke with um, Kayla, who works at Bezios, who creates packaging from seaweed that is just home compostable. So there are really great solutions, like just, you know, being in development
Yeah.
right now.
It's a very exciting time,
Mhm.
with lots of curious minds out there that's wanting to make a positive impact on, on the planet. So it's, if anything, I think it just affords us more opportunities to be really creative on how we do things, and forget a lot of the bad habits and, the old narrative. So
Mhm.
yeah.
one of the most, I think, creative and interesting parts of your business is how multi-use all of your products are. So you're not only removing, or like making one single product more sustainable because it's no longer in plastic packaging, you're replacing 4 or 5 different products.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting to see. How have you found, like, I guess, how are those, is it challenging for people to kind of understand that, or how has it been received, I suppose?
Um, yes and no. It comes from a place of being on the inside of the industry for such a long time. And the industry is, I love the beauty industry. It's where I've spent my entire career and learned so much. But it's also an industry where up until recently, there's been very little consideration for impact on the environment.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
an industry where it's all about excess. It's an industry that defined the word shelfie, right? So it's all about selling more as well.
Yes.
And when we were faced with a global pandemic and you had time to think, and at Disruptor London, Juan's a software engineer. He's very, very logical and stuff like that. I am too, but I think he is more. And he's not. He doesn't have an emotional attachment to the beauty industry like I do. So when we talk about these things, he says, I don't even know what half these products do. Why would I need these things? And it's a great sounding board because for us, we always want to balance the needs with good, efficacious products that look good and work hard, but also take a logical approach to it. Logic is underrated when
Yeah.
it comes to beauty and skincare and hair care. And we just wanted to take that logical approach to it. So for us, those fundamental values is also supporting those UN Sustainable Development Goals. So SDG
Mhm.
12 is all about responsible consumption and production, like Ob mentioned. And for us, how do we truly embody that? It's about being quite radical, and for us, that means asking people to use less. In an industry where everybody's asking you to buy more, we want you to use less, but use better. So less doesn't mean cheaper, less doesn't mean inferior. If anything, for us, less means fewer but better. That's working hard and in a green way. And if we can eliminate water, that reduces our carbon footprint, reduces the need for unnecessary plastic containers.
Mhm.
We reduce the plastic packaging, so we have naked formulas, but we also reduce the need for clutter, and it's also good on your pocket, right?
Mhm.
So if we look at bathrooms, there's shampoos, conditioners, shower gels, face washes, and the list goes on. Very few of those items end up being recycled, but also most of those items, if you look at the back and the inky list or the ingredients, the first ingredient is aqua, which is water. So it just doesn't make sense. And once we apply logic to it, why am I paying for a product that contains 90% of water when I'm in the shower anyway? Right? So we're using or we're paying for diluted products that's not working hard and it's not being green and it leaves lots of traces. So for us, applying that logic into our formula development when we're developing this range of products, it's about getting these bars that are solid to work hard and replace up to 4 or 5 different products. For me, it just made total sense. I was very privileged in the industry, being gifted so many products over the years that I never really had to buy any. But the fact is, even though I had these long, laborious regimes in front of me, I was not compliant. I might do it for 3 days or 4 days, and that's it. And if I go on holiday, forget it. But my skin didn't suffer when I was on holiday, right? It was fine. I started swimming not too long ago, and I felt that going to the gym, going to the showers, and nobody's taking 4 or 5 different products. And if you do, then respect. But we needed products that really fits into our lifestyles without our lifestyle having to fit around this comprehensive regime. Yeah. So yeah, I think back to that question, it took almost 2 years of research and development to work on developing formulas that's firstly plant-based, that's free from any petroleum-based ingredient, but also really effective for skin, hair, and we consider a lot of scalp health just based from personal experience. And we think we want our shampoo that we're using on our hair to really be gentle and effective on our scalp. And the scalp is an extension of the skin. So once again, applying logic, why are we using so many different products? Have a beard, and when I'm very, very stressed, symptoms of that manifest itself in like flakes just around this area, which is a term known as beard rough. And then once you Google that, you realize a lot of men suffer from this condition. So, why do we need several products to address these concerns? So we developed something that just makes sense. In terms of the reception, it's been really mixed. We have a lot of men instantly get it. We have women that love the idea. And then some women would just say to us, like, we just don't get it. We don't get how one product can do so many different things. And our response to that is, try it.
Yeah.
We've been conditioned to think that other products that we use are so vastly different between our face and our hair, but it's not. If you actually know the ingredients, like the active ingredients, the helpful, like I guess natural ingredients that are in there are the same.
Yeah. If you have like a full bathroom, compare the ingredients on them, you're going to find there's a lot the same.
I think also one of the other differentiators with our formulas is we give our customers a lot more than they would expect in terms of the function of the product. We use conditioning agents that's derived from the chicory root. That's great for your skin and your hair. We use panthenol, we use provitamin B5. We use keratin that's plant-based, that's derived from wheat and corn. So there's a lot of great ingredients out there. There's brilliant innovators and companies out there. So right now we're in such a great place to be formulating products that really don't leave these harmful traces behind.
Absolutely. I mean, so you mentioned that you had worked in the skincare industry for a while. So how did you get your start, if you don't mind me asking that?
Um, my start was while I was at uni, and I was working for a company. It's like this was in South Africa, so it was called Verimark, and it's very much like one of these as seen on TV commercials, where we would do these pop-ups in malls, and I was selling cookware and I was selling these mops. And there was a rep from Estee Lauder companies from Clinique at the time that loved my approach. So she offered me a job, and I said, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I don't have sisters. I've got a mom, but like she doesn't use much makeup, so I don't know about this. But I'm happy to give it a shot, and I might just be comfortable working on the men's skincare range and selling that. And in my mind, I thought, I'll get free product, so why not?
Yeah.
And that's how I started. And
Okay.
very quickly, the curiosity in me would be, okay, I don't know what these products do, but I'm going to teach myself and not look
Mhm.
like an idiot. It was, female dominated industry in terms of beauty consultants. Where I was growing up, it was Durban, it's the east coast of South Africa, and there were no men in the beauty industry at that time. So I was like getting a lot of attention, rightly so, for being the only guy doing something like this.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved the fact that, okay, you're doing something that's different, being
Yeah.
disruptive at that age.
Yeah.
Uh,
Disruptor from the
It's in
beginning.
your
yeah.
blood, yeah.
And I remember very clearly going to one store, and the manager, account manager there, tells the store manager they've got a makeup artist coming. So the store manager was really excited for this makeup artist to do her makeup, not realizing I am that makeup artist that had no clue what to do. So what did I do? I was not going to avoid that. I was not going to fail. I just adopted a very common sense approach, logical, lips, eyes, cheeks. How could I mess this up? Right? Just go with all naturals, and that's how it started. But yeah, seriously, that was my first, I'd say, dipping my toes into the industry. Very
Mhm.
quickly, I'd say I learned quite a lot. I was very privileged to have a lot of great people as my seniors that taught me, that embraced me and my background. And I moved to the UK in 2003, and I was um, unofficially transferred here with Clinique. And yeah, my career just kind of took off. And I worked with the Estee Lauder companies, LVMH, for about 7 years, and then went on to work with indie brands in the US, like Too Faced Cosmetics,
Yeah.
when they were
Two-Face is great. Yeah.
pre-Lauder acquisition. So I launched that in the UK and the Middle East, did some work in Europe with them, and I loved being on that side of founder-led brands, scaling up into international markets. Um, had a great time there, and then went on to work on the manufacturing side with Manor Products in Long Island City. They are one of the biggest contract manufacturers for color cosmetics, skin, and hair care. Learned so much about the manufacturing side, private label, but they also had a couple of proprietary brands that I managed globally for them. So yeah, I'd say all of this, different steps, every job I've had has taught me something. It's filled a gap in terms of knowledge and skills
Mhm.
Hmm.
that led me to a point now where I feel that I might not be the expert on everything, but I have a great appreciation for it. And when you apply that with common sense, hard work, and a bit of logic, then
That's great.
yeah, you could do
I
this.
Wow.
I really like that hearing your story, it makes me like it even more. How unisex Disruptor London is, I think it can speak to like anyone, and it feels genderless when you're looking at it, not in like a I don't see gender way, but in like a really refreshing way, because the skincare industry and generally the beauty industry in general is so feminine,
Yeah.
or all the way like masculine, black, like platinum. This was so, I remember Courtney and I looking at it for the first time being like, this is dope. This is like where skincare and the beauty industry should be moving towards, is like everybody has skin.
So everyone has skin, that's spot on. I think it's also a case of beauty shouldn't be gendered.
Hmm.
I mean, who's creating these rules anyway? It's nonsense. So, for us, like I've always used products that I liked for different reasons, regardless of who it was targeting. And when we built a brand, going back to the SDGs, equality, products that are targeting problems and providing solutions rather than being
Hmm.
gendered is what we're all about. And that's our mission. Our mission is to have products that are addressing concerns that's facing the planet, but also people, and people come in all shapes and sizes
Yep.
and genders. So, we don't want to discriminate.
Yeah. And it shows.
Thank you.
It's a really incredible. I mean, it seems every decision that you've made with Disruptor is truly like disruptive to what the traditional beauty industry has really like rooted itself in. And this, in marketing individual products for such specific solutions to different genders, different age groups within those genders, and your approach to just simplifying all of that is just, it's absolutely incredible to see.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
One of the hardest things, though, is just to unlearn all like the BS, right? We've been taught.
Definitely.
Um, I'm in my 40s, and I've just, we've been told so much over the years and
Yeah.
conditioned. And it's just, once you release and let go of a lot of that unnecessary baggage, it's actually really nice to just have that blue sky and a vision board, where no, we don't need to be victims of like bad information or these kind of restrictions and
Hmm.
frameworks that just really are so outdated.
Yeah.
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 It's very true. I like that philosophy. Yeah. We've talked about that before on the podcast too, is like the importance of unlearning before. I would say that's important to do if you're getting into an industry, any industry that is um like full, or I maybe even old, is to
Yeah.
like spend some time unlearning what society has taught you or what the industry has taught you,
Hmm.
because then you'll be able to get down to brass tacks, like you're talking about. Use logic, make it simple. The simplest way is usually the best way. But so
Yeah.
much of what we learn, and I think like as a marketer over time, is that on us? Because we use all these words and tell like wordsmith stories about you have to be this person and make them want to look exactly like this person over here, like make people want to feel themselves as your story and aspire to be your model or whatever.
Yeah.
We've created these narratives, which is part of why Dandelion exists, is we kind of want to like do a better job in marketing, um, and market for things that aren't just wordsmithing.
Yeah. And
Um,
it just feels like now is just so the right time.
yeah.
Yeah, because with like I've got 5 nephews and a niece. I almost forgot. There's so many of them. But they're all approaching, those ages where the youngest is 12 and the oldest is 25. So it's so refreshing when you speak to them and you just listen to the things that they're doing, and how they approach situations in life. It's really, really refreshing because it's almost like they don't come with this baggage that we've had, in the 90s and early 2000s. And it
Yeah.
was right now their focus is more on them and the planet.
Yeah. I think COVID has a silver lining a bit there.
Yeah.
There were 2 years where these formidable, or a whole generation just didn't have the standard, had a
Yeah.
totally different standard. It was a very nice reset for some very ugly things that, our society just like shoves down people's throats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
wild. Oh gosh. I mean, right now, you're focusing mainly on those four key products, like you mentioned?
Yeah. So now we've got these products. We're learning so much, just
Mhm.
figuring out all those unit economics and, also trying to expand our business B2B. We have products that's developed, like I said, and we're just in no rush to bring these out because we can still do so much with what the capsule collection. But what's still to come is really exciting because, we're focusing on solid format moisturizers for face and body using some really innovative ingredients. And all of these, it's just complementary to the current range that we have.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so exciting. And I mean, just all of the attention and time that you put into products, it just brings them to a whole other level. I think that there's really something to going through that process intentionally and slowly. Even that in and of itself is like a radical act in the beauty industry. So that is amazing. Yeah, appreciate it.
And
I appreciate
once
all your
once you
advice.
stop thinking or focusing on, what everybody else is doing and just stay true to your cardinal, and what it is that matters, then it becomes easier. I think to start off, we were quite overwhelmed with what's happening with so much out there in the industry. And when we made that concerted decision to stop, of course, we're in the business of selling, so we need to know what's going on around us, but we focus less on what others are doing. And if anything, our approach to our competition is they're all doing great things for like a collective mission. So we champion each other, more than, competing.
Yeah.
That feels really nice and liberating when we take that approach.
Absolutely. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, we've been seeing that more, and we're big fans of it, of folks that are very focused on doing well for the world, are excited when what they, what used to be considered their competition, they're excited to watch those innovations, and they're not interested in, throwing them under the bus or ruining their, big event or whatever. They're excited to see growth and innovation and work towards a common goal.
Yeah. And that stems from, we don't have that shareholder mentality. It's more, yes, of course, we're co-founders, but we give a lot back through different, charities and memberships, like 1% of the Planet and Clean Hub, things that we feel passionately about. But similarly, if we forget about that, shareholder mentality and think about, the planet being the biggest stakeholder and people. If others are doing things that considers people and planet, and we're all working to a collective goal, then that's great because we are going to achieve something together. Two people behind a small brand like Disruptor London can't effect that much change on our own. So, that has been our approach and our attitude for the last couple of years, and we don't see that changing. And with the noise, and we also recognize that while we're all trying to do good things, nobody is perfect. So
Mhm.
we're all, at different points in our journey to a more sustainable way of doing business. And perfection, I don't know if it does exist, um, but it can drive you bonkers.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
really, really nice. I think that's a really lovely spot to sort of leave it and just ask like how people can find you, where can they get a hold of you, where can they shop for your amazing products?
Yeah, so I mean, we are pretty much doing most of our business through our website. So that's disruptor.london. It's a custom-built website. That's something that consumers don't really see. We don't use off-the-shelf suites like Shopify, WooCommerce, anything like that. One's a software engineer, and data sovereignty is something that's really, really important to us. So we don't share data with third parties. It's cookieless, and we really want to ensure that, considering people is also about their safety when shopping online. So that's something that we're very, very proud of, but it's not a physical feature that most people could see from the outside, right? So you can find us there. We're active on Instagram. LinkedIn has been really good for us, especially in the professional network. Twitter. I lost a whole day on Threads last week. Did anybody else?
How, how did it go?
On Thursday, I don't think I did anything else but Threads.
You liking it?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
I wasn't sure because I used Twitter. I wasn't that active on Twitter, but I really like Threads. So yeah, I think it's one to watch.
We'll keep our eye on it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's good feedback. I like it.
And yeah, and I mean we have a very small presence on TikTok, but watch this space. I think we need to do lots of more fun content.
Incredible. That
Oh,
is
and we've just launched our blog as well a couple of months ago, and we tend to really deep dive into or dive deeper into the products, not only what it does, but looking at the types of ingredients and stuff we avoid and the reasons we do that. So that's
fantastic.
worth having a look at.
That's a great space for that because absolutely your audience will have all those questions. So that's fantastic. Amazing. Well, Sira, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's been such a great time talking with both of you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.